Do you need help?
Some people spend their entire lives chasing money, building empires, accumulating fortunes, but forget what truly matters. And sometimes, you have to lose someone you love to realize this. You have to walk alone in the rain, ignored by dozens of people, to understand the value of a simple act of kindness. This is the story of two very different men, an 80-year-old wealthy businessman who had everything but the essentials, and a humble man who had almost nothing, but carried something that money can't buy. What happened that rainy night changed both their lives forever, and what you're about to hear might change yours too. So subscribe to the channel, leave a like and comment on where you're watching from, and let's get to the story. Michael Torres was 34 years old, his hands calloused from hard work, and his smile belied the difficult life he led. He worked as a mechanic in a small shop on the outskirts of Nashville, Tennessee, earning just enough to pay the rent on a simple 2-bedroom house and put food on the table. His wife, Sarah, worked part-time at a laundromat, and together they raised little Lucas, just 6 years old, a boy with big, curious eyes who loved to draw cars. Life wasn't easy. There were months when the money barely stretched. There were nights when Michael would stare at the ceiling of his room, calculating bills, feeling the weight of responsibility. But he never lost faith. Every morning, before leaving for work, Michael would say a simple prayer: "Lord, give me strength to take care of my family, and if you can use my hands to help someone today, I'm here." That Tuesday in October began like any other. Michael left home at 6 in the morning, worked all day fixing cars, returned home covered in grease, tired, but with the peace of someone who had done their best. It was almost 9 at night when he got into his old pickup truck, a 1990s Ford that made more noise than it moved, and started driving back home along the back road that cut through the countryside. The sky had darkened far too quickly. Within minutes, it began to rain heavily, the kind of rain that makes it hard to see the road. Michael turned the windshield wipers on full blast, but even then visibility was terrible. He slowed down, concentrating, when suddenly he saw a silhouette on the side of the road. He was a man, old, walking alone in that torrential rain. Michael drove past him, but something tightened in his chest. He glanced in the rearview mirror and saw the frail figure continuing to walk, completely soaked. "Lord, what do I do?" he murmured. But deep down, he already knew the answer. Without thinking much, he slammed on the brakes, turned around, and went back. When he stopped beside the man, he opened the window and shouted over the noise of the rain, "Sir, are you all right? Do you need any help?" The old man stopped. He must have been about 80 years old, with white hair plastered to his forehead, soaked clothes, and an expensive coat that now looked like an old rag. But what caught Michael's attention most were his eyes, tired, deep, yet still kind. I'm fine," the old man replied, his voice weak. "With all due respect, sir, you don't seem well. Please get in the car. This rain is dangerous." The old man hesitated. He looked at the empty road ahead, then back at Michael. And then, slowly, he opened the door and went inside. Michael turned on the heater immediately. "You're freezing. Where did you come from? Is there someone I can call?" The old man was silent for a moment, looking at his own wet hands. "There's no one here. I was just walking." "Walking? In this rain? Sir, do you live around here?" "Not exactly." The old man sighed. "I live far away, but I needed to walk, to understand some things." Michael didn't fully understand, but something about that man, the silent sadness he carried, touched his heart. "Look, I don't know what you're going through, but nobody should be alone on the road on a night like this. My house is simple, but it has a sofa, a warm blanket, and food. Would you accept some?" The old man turned his face and looked at Michael attentively for the first time. He saw a young man with an honest face, hands dirty from work, and worn clothes. And something about that sincere invitation brought tears to his eyes. I don't want to be a bother." "No work at all, sir. It's the least I can do." And so, without knowing who the man was or what had brought him there, Michael took the stranger home. When they arrived, the house was lit up. Sarah was in the kitchen washing the dinner dishes, and Lucas was already asleep in his little room. Michael parked and helped the old man out of the pickup truck. "Sarah," he called as he entered. "Honey, I brought someone who needs help." Sarah emerged from the kitchen, drying her hands with a cloth. She saw the old man soaked and, without asking anything, went to get towels. "Oh my God, come in, you're freezing." Michael smiled. He knew he could count on her. Sarah had the same heart as him. "Sir, come with me," Michael said, leading the old man to the bathroom. "I'll give you some dry clothes. They're nothing fancy, but they're clean and warm." He grabbed an old pair of sweatpants and a t-shirt and a winter coat. The old man accepted in silence, still processing everything. When he came out of the bathroom, dressed in the simple clothes, he looked like a different person. He looked human, vulnerable. "You must be hungry," Sarah said, already preparing a plate. "It's nothing too elaborate, but it has rice, beans, roast chicken, and salad." The old man sat at the table in the small kitchen. That house was unlike anything he had ever known. It had no luxury, no marble, no expensive paintings, no imported chandeliers. But it had something he hadn't felt in a long time. It had warmth. It had life. It had love. Michael, Sarah, and the old man sat down together. And before starting to eat, Michael naturally reached out his hands. "We have a custom of saying a prayer before eating. Do you mind?" The old man shook his head, surprised and moved. It had been decades since he had seen anything like it. Michael closed his eyes. "Lord, thank you for this food. Thank you for keeping us alive and together. Thank you for bringing this man safely home. Bless him, Lord, whatever he's going through, and use us to be a light on his path. Amen. Amen," Sarah repeated softly. The old man couldn't speak. He just nodded, his eyes moist. They began to eat, and when the old man took his first bite of that simple rice, the homemade beans, the chicken seasoned with care, something inside him broke. It tasted like childhood. It tasted like when his mother, a poor Italian immigrant, cooked with what little she had. It tasted like a time when he didn't yet have money, but he had everything. "It's delicious," he said, his voice breaking. Sarah smiled. "I'm glad you liked it." After dinner, they went to the small living room. Michael turned on the television at a low volume, more for company than to watch. The old man sat on the sofa, still holding the mug of hot tea that Sarah had made. "Would you like to talk about what happened?" Michael asked gently, sitting down in an old rocking chair. The old man took a deep breath. I lost my wife 3 months ago." Michael lowered his head. "I'm sorry. 52 years of marriage, she was everything. And when she was gone, I realized something terrible. I realized I built an empire, but I forgot to build relationships. My children, they have their own lives, their own families. They call me, of course, but it's different. They don't need me. And I understand I did that. I spent my life working, building businesses, accumulating things, and I forgot to be present." Sarah sat on the arm of Michael's chair, listening in silence. "So today," the old man continued, "I decided to conduct an experiment. I left home, asked the driver to drop me off on some random road, and started walking. I wanted to see. I wanted to know if there is still goodness in the world, if people still care. Because it seems that everyone today only cares about money, about being in a hurry, about their own problems." He looked at Michael with an intensity that made the air heavy. "Do you know how many cars passed me today? More than 50. And do you know how many stopped? 1. Yours." Michael didn't know what to say. "You don't know me. You don't know if I'm dangerous, if I'm crazy, if I'm going to rob you. But you stopped. Why?" Michael thought for a moment. Because Because if it were my father or my grandfather out there in that rain, I would want someone to stop. And because I believe that God puts people in our path for a reason, I don't know what that reason is today, but I trust. The old man smiled for the first time. A tired smile, but a genuine one. "Do you have family?" Sarah asked. "I have 3 children, all successful, all busy. I don't blame them. I raised them to be that way. I taught them that success is money, status, power, and they learned that very well." "It's never too late to change that," Michael said. "It's never too late to reconnect." "Do you think so?" "I believe that God always gives a second chance. Always." They talked for hours. Michael spoke about his life, about how difficult it was sometimes, about the bills that were piling up, about the fear of not being able to give his son a better life. But he spoke with a contagious hope. He spoke of God as one speaks of a close friend, someone who is always there, even when everything seems impossible. "I don't have much," Michael said, looking around the humble room. "But I have my family. I have my faith. And I'm sure, absolutely sure, that one day things will get better. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I trust. And in the meantime, I do what I can. I work honestly, I take care of my family, and I try to be a light wherever God places me." The old man listened to it all, absorbing every word like someone who was thirsty and had finally found water. He had everything Michael didn't have, but Michael had everything he had lost. It was past midnight when Sarah got up and yawned. "Well, I'm going to sleep. I have to wake up early for work tomorrow. Sir, the sofa is all yours. I'll go get some pillows and blankets." "Sarah, thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart," the old man said, and there was such deep gratitude in his voice that she had to turn her face away to avoid getting emotional. Michael helped to tidy up the sofa. He brought the thickest blanket they had, 2 pillows, and even left a glass of water on the coffee table. "If you need anything during the night, you can call, okay?" Michael said. "You've done more for me than you realize," the old man replied. Michael patted him on the shoulder and went to his room. But before lying down, he went into his son's room. Lucas was fast asleep, hugging a worn-out teddy bear. Michael kissed the boy's forehead and whispered, "May you grow up knowing that the most important things in life are people. Son, not things." That night, the old man had trouble falling asleep. He stared at the ceiling of that simple room, listening to the silence of the house, the silence of a family sleeping peacefully. And he cried. He cried for the wife he had lost. He cried for the years he had wasted. He cried for the kindness of that couple who had almost nothing, but had given everything. And at that moment, there on that old sofa, he made a decision. The next morning, the smell of coffee and toast woke the old man. He opened his eyes and for a moment didn't know where he was. Then he saw Michael in the kitchen, preparing breakfast, while Lucas, still in his pajamas, was drawing at the table. "Good morning," Michael said with that wide smile. "Did you sleep well?" "Better than I expected," the old man replied, sitting up slowly. "It's been a long time since I've slept so well." Sarah arrived already dressed for work. "Good morning. We have coffee, bread, butter, and jam. Nothing too fancy, but it'll satisfy your hunger." Lucas looked at the old man curiously. "Hi, are you a friend of my father?" The old man smiled. "I think so, champ. I think your father is my friend now." "Cool. Want to see my drawing? I drew a flying car." Michael laughed. "Lucas, let you have your coffee in peace." No, the old man said, picking up the drawing. "It's beautiful. You draw very well." The boy's face lit up completely. They had coffee together. Everything was so simple, so normal, so perfect. The old man watched the family interacting, the inside jokes, the way Michael looked at Sarah, the way they looked at their son. And he thought, that's it. That's true wealth. After coffee, Sarah went to work, and Michael said he needed to take Lucas to school before going to the workshop. "I can give you a ride to wherever you need to go," Michael offered. "Actually," the old man said, taking a deep breath, "I need to tell you something. I need to tell you who I am." Michael stopped, paying attention. "My name is William Hartford. I own Hartford Industries." Michael blinked, confused. "And Hartford Industries? The tech company?" "Yes, and we also have divisions in construction, renewable energy, and investments. It's one of the largest companies in Tennessee." Michael sat down slowly, processing the information. You are a billionaire?" "Yes, and last night, when you caught me in the rain, I was testing the world, testing if kindness still exists, testing if people still care when there's nothing to gain." Michael was speechless. "You didn't know who I was. You weren't expecting anything in return. You helped me because of who you are. And this night here, in this simple house, was one of the best nights I've had in years. Maybe in my whole life." "Mr. William, No, let me finish." The old man stood up, looking Michael in the eyes. "I built an empire, but I forgot to build true legacies. I taught my children to be successful, but I didn't teach them to be kind. You, with so little, have so much wealth, and I, with so much, have so little." He placed his hand on Michael's shoulder. "I want to offer you something. Tomorrow, I want you to come to my company. I'm going to appoint you regional manager." Michael's eyes widened. "What? Sir, I'm a mechanic. I don't..." "You're more than a mechanic. You're a man of integrity, a man of faith, a man who cares. And that's exactly the kind of person my company needs. People who haven't lost their humanity. I'll teach you everything you need to know about the business. But you'll teach me something far more important. You'll remind me of what truly matters." Michael was in shock. "Mr. William, I don't know what to say. Say yes. Say you accept. Not for yourself, but for your family, for your son. You deserve the opportunity to give him everything you dream of giving him." Michael felt his eyes welling up with tears. He thought of all the nights he had prayed, of all the times he had asked God for a chance, an opening, a miracle. I accept. Thank you very much, Mr. William." William smiled. "No, thank you. You saved me yesterday. Really." In the following days, Michael's life changed completely. He went to Hartford Industries, a huge glass building in downtown Nashville. When he entered, people looked at him strangely. He was wearing his best clothes, but he still seemed out of place in that world of expensive suits and Italian shoes. William greeted him personally. "Guys, this is Michael Torres. He's going to be our new regional manager, and I expect everyone to treat him with the respect he deserves." The employees were confused, but they obeyed. William was known for being eccentric, but no one questioned his decisions. The first few days were difficult. Michael didn't understand anything about spreadsheets, strategic meetings, or financial projections. He felt like a fish out of water. But William was always there, patiently teaching him. "You'll learn," William would say. "Business can be learned. But character, that you already have, and character is what makes the difference." And Michael learned. He was intelligent, dedicated, and had an enormous desire to grow. But more than that, he brought something new to the company. He treated everyone with respect, from the CEO to the janitor. He remembered people's names. He asked about their families. He truly cared, and people noticed. Hartford Industries began to change. The company culture started to become more human. William watched all this with a pride he hadn't felt in years. He had found not just an employee, but a friend, almost a son. They had lunch together. They talked about life. William got to know Sarah and Lucas well, invited them to dinners, to events. And for the first time since his wife had died, William felt part of a family again. But it wasn't all roses. There were people in the company who didn't like Michael. vice presidents who had waited years for that promotion and saw a mechanic take the position. And one of them, Richard Thompson, was particularly annoyed. Richard was arrogant, ambitious, and believed the position should be his. He began to subtly sabotage Michael. He passed on incorrect information. He made Michael look incompetent in meetings. He spread rumors that he had only gotten the job because William was senile and sentimental. One day, at an important meeting with investors, Richard set a trap. He let Michael present a financial report that had completely wrong numbers, and when Michael realized it, it was too late. The investors were furious. The meeting was a disaster. William wasn't there that day. When he found out, he called Michael into his office. "What happened?" William asked. Seriously. Michael was devastated. "I don't know, Mr. William. I reviewed the numbers 3 times. I don't understand how. Do you think it was sabotage?" I don't want to accuse anyone without proof." William looked at him for a long moment, and then he smiled. "That's it, exactly that. You don't accuse without proof. You don't play dirty, even when they play dirty with you. That's why I trust you, Michael." "But what about the investors and the company?" "I'll handle it. Don't worry. But Michael, there are people here who don't like you. People who think you don't deserve to be here. And they're going to try to bring you down. You need to be strong. You need to prove you're more than they think." Michael nodded. "I will, Mr. William. I promise." And he succeeded. Michael worked harder than ever. He studied at night, after Lucas went to sleep. He took online courses. He read books on management, on leadership, on business. He was determined to prove that he wasn't there by luck, but by merit. And gradually, things began to change. Michael implemented new processes that increased efficiency. He negotiated better contracts with suppliers. He created employee development programs, and the results appeared. The company grew, profits increased, and even the most skeptical began to respect Michael. Richard, seeing that his plans weren't working, grew increasingly desperate. He knew that if Michael continued to grow in popularity, he himself would be discarded. So he decided to play one last card. He went to William one day and said, "Mr. Hartford, I need to show you something. It's about Michael." William frowned. "What is it?" Richard placed some papers on the table. "I investigated his past. Did you know he has debts? That he almost lost his house last year? That he has a terrible credit history?" William looked at the papers and then at Richard. "So what?" "So what?" "Sir, he's a risk. He's financially unstable. How can we trust him to manage millions of dollars?" William stood up slowly. He was old, but when he was serious, he still commanded respect. "Richard, do you know why I hired Michael?" "Because of sentimentality. Because he's the only person in this company who wouldn't sell himself for money. Did he have debts? Yes. Because he's human. Because he goes through difficulties like everyone else. But you know what he never did? He never lied. He never cheated. He never stepped on anyone to get ahead. And that, Richard, is worth more than any diploma or any important last name." Richard blushed. "Sir, with all due respect, you're fired." Silence. Richard couldn't believe what he had heard. "You can't." "I can, and I am doing it. Take your things and leave. Today." Richard stormed out of the office, slamming the door shut in a rage. And William stood there, gazing out the window, wondering how he had almost let a man like Richard destroy a man like Michael. That night, William called Michael. "Come over for dinner tomorrow. Bring Sarah and Lucas. I want to talk to you." William's house was everything you imagine when you think of a mansion. 3 stories, enormous gardens, a pool that looked like it belonged in a resort. When Michael, Sarah, and Lucas arrived, they were speechless. "Dad, does Mr. William live in a castle?" Lucas asked, his eyes wide. William laughed. "It's not exactly a castle, champ, but it's too big for just one person, I'll admit that." They dined together at a huge table, But William insisted it be something simple. No fancy food today. I asked the chef to make roast chicken, rice, and beans, just like you gave me that night. Sarah smiled, touched. You didn't need to. Yes, I needed to. That night changed my life. I want to remember that always. After dinner, William took everyone to a private office. He picked up a box of old photos and began to show them. This was my wife, Margaret. This is from the day we got married. We were so young, so happy. Lucas looked at the photos with curiosity. She was beautiful. Yes, she was, and she was the best person I've ever known. When she died, I thought I had lost everything, but then you all came along. And I realized that there is still beauty in the world. There is still goodness. He looked at Michael. You saved me, Michael. Really, I was lost. And you, without knowing it, brought me back. Mr. William, I only did what anyone should do. But they didn't. 50 cars passed me. 50, and only you stopped. That means something. William took a deep breath. I'm going to tell you something I haven't told you before. I have 3 children, all adults, all successful. But since their mother died, we hardly speak. They're always busy, always traveling, always living their own lives. And I don't blame them. I raised them that way. I taught them that work comes first, that success is everything. And now I'm reaping what I sowed. Sarah touched his hand. It's never too late to change that. You always say that. And you know what? I'm going to try. I'm going to call them tomorrow. I'm going to invite them over. I'm going to try to reconnect. And we'll be here to support you, Michael said. William smiled, his eyes welling up with tears. You are the family I chose, and I want you to know that, to me, you are just as important as my own children. Lucas, who had been quietly listening to the adults, suddenly said, Mr. William, could you be my grandfather? I've never had a grandfather. Everyone fell silent. And then William picked the boy up, something he hadn't done in years, and said with a choked voice, I would love to be your grandfather, champ. I would. Months passed. Michael continued to grow within the company. He was no longer seen as the lucky mechanic, but as a competent, respected manager who made a difference. And most importantly, he didn't change. He remained the same Michael as always, humble, hardworking, and faithful. William, for his part, managed to reconnect with his children. It was difficult at first. I had resentment, distance, years of emotional absence to overcome. But little by little, they started talking more, to visit each other, really getting to know each other again. And all of this because William had learned from Michael what really matters. One Sunday, William went to church with Michael and Sarah. It was a simple, evangelical church, full of humble people. Nothing like the grand churches William had attended when he was younger. But there was something there. There was truth. He had genuine faith. The pastor spoke about the Good Samaritan, about helping strangers, about being a light in the world. And William, sitting there on the wooden bench next to Michael, felt something he hadn't felt in decades. He felt he was in the right place. After the service, as they walked to the parking lot, William said, You know, Michael, I've been to hundreds of business meetings in my life. I've closed multi-million-dollar deals. I've met presidents, celebrities, powerful people from all over the world. But none of those experiences gave me what this simple church has given me today. What did she give you? Michael asked. Peace and purpose. That Christmas, William hosted a large dinner party at his house. He invited his 3 children and their families, as well as Michael and Sarah and Lucas. And for the first time in many years, William's house was full of life, laughter, and children running through the hallways. William's children were surprised to meet Michael. At first, there was a certain distrust, as if they thought Michael was taking advantage of their father. But when they saw the genuine relationship between the two, when they saw how William smiled around Michael, how much more alive he seemed, they understood. The eldest son, James, even pulled Michael aside at one point and said, "Thank you for taking care of my father. We should have been more present. But I see that he has you now, and that makes me happy." Michael shook his hand. "Your father is a great man, and he loves you. Never doubt that." That evening, before dinner, William asked for silence and said he wanted to make a toast. "A year ago, I was going through the worst phase of my life. I had lost my wife. I was alone. I was lost. And then, one rainy night, a man stopped his car and offered me help. He didn't know me. He didn't know who I was. He didn't expect anything in return. He just helped." William looked at Michael, his eyes shining. And that simple gesture changed everything. That man, Michael Torres, taught me that wealth isn't what you have in the bank. It's what you have in your heart. It's the people you love. It's the faith you carry. And it's the kindness you spread throughout the world. He raised his glass. "So I toast to Michael, to Sarah, to little Lucas, and to all of you here. May we never forget what truly matters. May we never lose our humanity, and may we always stop to help someone in the rain." Everyone toasted, many with tears in their eyes. Lucas, sitting next to William, tugged at his sleeve and whispered, "Grandpa William, are you happy now?" William looked at that boy, at his innocent smile, and felt his heart clench with emotion. "Yes, my son, I am very happy." 2 years later, Michael was already a director at Hartford Industries. He had proven himself not only competent, but exceptional. The company was growing, the employees were happy, and all because Michael led with his heart. William, now 82, had slowed down. He still went to the office, but more to chat, to give advice, than to actually work. He knew that Michael and the other executives had everything under control. One spring afternoon, William and Michael were sitting in William's office, having coffee and talking about life, as they always did. "Do you regret anything?" Michael asked. William thought for a moment. "I regret not having done this sooner, not having stopped to look around, not having prioritized people. But you know, maybe I needed to go through all that to get here, to find you, to learn." "God has a time for everything," Michael said. "It really does." William smiled. "You changed my life, Michael. You and your family. You gave me something I thought I'd lost forever, hope. And you changed mine. You gave me opportunities I never imagined I'd have. But more than that, you gave me a father. Because that's how I see you." William felt his eyes welling up with tears. "And I see you as a son I chose, and who chose me too." They were silent for a moment, simply enjoying each other's company. And then William said something he had been thinking about for a long time. "You know what makes me happiest? It's not the money I have in the bank. It's not the companies, the cars, the houses. It's knowing that people like you still exist. People who help without expecting anything in return. People who truly love. People who make the world a better place just by existing." Michael smiled. "You taught me that it's never too late to start over, that it's never too late to choose to be better. And you taught me that the greatest success in life isn't measured in money. It's measured in love, in faith, in true relationships." They toasted with coffee, two men from completely different worlds, but who had become family. A family not built on blood, but on choice, on kindness, on faith. And it all started because, on a rainy night, a man decided to stop his car and help a stranger. Sometimes, a simple act of kindness can change not just one life, but two. It can rebuild families. It can restore hope. It can remind the world that love still exists, and that, in the end, is what really matters. This story reminds us that the most valuable things in life are priceless. Michael didn't have money, But he had something far more precious, a heart willing to help. And William had everything except the essentials, until that rainy night. Sometimes, we spend our whole lives chasing things that won't fill the void inside us, and we forget that what truly matters is right in front of us. People, love, faith, kindness. No matter where you are today, whether you have a lot or a little, you can always choose to be a light in someone's life. Because a simple gesture can change everything. It can save someone. It can rebuild a life. It can be the miracle someone was waiting for. If this story touched your heart in any way, leave a like below, comment what you thought, and subscribe to the channel to keep hearing stories like this. Stories that remind us what's truly worthwhile in life.